Second panelist will be Claude Pressnell. Claude is a member of and is representing the Advisory Committee on Student Financial Assistance. Dr. Pressnell has served as President and CEO of the Tennessee Independent Colleges and Universities Association. He has extensive experience in higher education in admissions and financial aid at various universities. Dr. Pressnell has numerous publications in higher education, and he received his PhD from Vanderbilt University.
Chairman Hinojosa and members of the subcommittee, on behalf of the Advisory Committee on Student Financial Assistance, I want to thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony on the barriers to college access and persistence for low and moderate income families. I'm testifying today in my capacity as the Vice Chair of the Advisory Committee. In fulfilling our legislative charge, the Advisory Committee analyzes federal policy from the unique perspective of the student. Several Advisory Committee reports have found that barriers to college facing our nation's low and moderate income families can be grouped into 4 categories. First, financial barriers. Second, inadequate academic preparation. Third, poor and untimely information. Fourth, the complexity of the application forms and process. First, let me begin with financial barriers. To view financial barriers through the eyes of a student, the Advisory Committee looks at the student workload burden to define what a true college cost is facing the families. The workload burden is also called net price or net cost, and it represents the total cost of attendance after subtracting grant aid from all sources. Between 1990 and 2004, the workload burden increased for all students, but especially those from the lowest income families. This gap between grants and cost of attendance equals over 75% of the family income for the lowest income families. Because of these financial barriers, in the previous and current decades, millions of our nation's best and brightest students were and will be forced to alter their college enrollment and degree plans because of the lack of finances. Second, academic preparation is inarguably a key factor in the college access and persistence. Recent data show that between 1992 and 2004, there were increases in academic preparation as measured by courses taken. This is particularly true for low-income students. In spite of this, however, there have not been significant increases in college enrollment or degree attainment. These stagnant enrollment and attainment levels are directly tied to the increasing financial barriers. Third, information barriers also exist. The timing and quality of financial aid information is critical to college decision making. The Advisory Committee has offered several recommendations for improving the quality and delivery of early financial aid information in our report entitled The Student Aid Gauntlet. We continue to explore strategies for eliminating information barriers in our current Innovative Pathways study. However, we have found that in the face of the high workload burden, early information is not enough. Once low and moderate income students are informed about their total financial aid package, they oftentimes discover that a shortfall in grant aid makes college expenses unmanageable. Fourth and finally, the complexity of the student aid process poses an unnecessary barrier for students. 2004, members of this chamber tasked the Advisory Committee to identify those barriers and to make recommendations on ways to reduce them. Current proposed legislation in the House and Senate to amend the Higher Education Act addresses many of the Advisory Committee's key recommendations. However, these simplification improvements alone will not dramatically increase access if the workload burden levels remain high. In sum, these 4 barriers, financial barriers, inadequate academic preparation, poor and untimely information, and complexity of the application form and processes, can negatively impact access and persistence. Over the decade, financial barriers have grown and compound the barriers to students by weakening incentives to prepare academically, compromising the effectiveness of early information efforts, and undermining efforts to simplify the student financial aid application process. In light of the pending HEA reauthorization, the Advisory Committee would like to offer a pragmatic, feasible policy recommendation that addresses each of these barriers simultaneously. Increased need-based financial aid is one solution that can stimulate increases in bachelor degree attainment among college-qualified high school graduates and increase the number of college-qualified students in forthcoming cohorts. Because ensuring access to college and degree attainment is not solely the responsibility of the federal government. The advisory committee recommends creating a national public-private federal-state partnership to coordinate and increase need-based aid from all sources. In such a partnership, federal matching grants would be provided to states as an incentive to coordinate with institutions and private organizations to guarantee Pell-eligible students financial access to a four-year college or university. With such assurance, students and family would know that adequate financial aid resources are there, and they would work hard to be academically prepared. One model of this partnership is currently included in the pending bipartisan Senate HEA legislation and is designated as Grants for Access and Persistence in the Access Act. This is sponsored by Senator Jack
I'm
Reed.
going to interrupt you and say I'm going to give you an additional 2 minutes so that you can try to finish the advisory committee's 6 recommendations, because that's very important.
Well, thank you very much. What the Grants for Access and Persistence in the Access Act is sponsored by Senator Jack Reed. It's bipartisan support. It's co-sponsored by Senator Collins, Dodd, Kennedy, Murray, and Sanders. We believe that this is a good first step toward leveraging scarce funding to lower the financial aid barriers for low to moderate income college-qualified students. In essence, what this partnership would do through, actually in the Senate bill, would be to take the special LEAP money and provide that as an incentive grant pool that would pull together institutional need-based aid as well as philanthropic support and possibly even corporate philanthropic support to leverage then these scarce resources at the state level as well as at the federal level to pull together to target that at Pell-eligible students that are college qualified to attend a four-year university. So what we're trying to do through this proposal is to try to bring all the partners to the table to bring forth an aggressive, creative solution to our current crisis in terms of need-based aid for low and moderate income families. And so on behalf of the advisory committee members, I thank you for the opportunity to come before you today, and we look forward to working with you to provide technical assistance on this matter and others as time moves forward. Thank you.